Howdy y'all, Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee. As pleased as I am with the wall progress I've made, this is still obviously a work in progress to anyone who looks at it. Now, one big problem with having all the walls up is I no longer have an easy way to ender pearl into the center of the building area. And so I figure I should probably start working on the main entrance. We're going to have to put in the actual gate and drawbridge and stuff later, but for right now, just being able to walk here without spending an ender pearl every time will kind of pay off in terms of trips to the end, my friends, to go grab more of those. So let's get this going on here. Dang it. People keep telling me that I can use the middle mouse button to select a block. Now, let me tell you something about that. My old mouse, every time you hit the middle mouse button, would completely break all the other buttons for like a few seconds. And so I'm out of the habit of doing that. But I have a new mouse now, so I kind of want to try it, but I'm also worried about, what if a creeper shows up when I'm doing it and my new mouse breaks? I feel like the new mouse probably shouldn't break, but I've never actually pushed down on the middle mouse button on the new mouse. It's just one of I didn't buy the new mouse to fix the middle mouse button problem. I bought the new mouse because the old mouse stopped tracking entirely. So, that's nice. But let's go ahead and give that a try. So if I just... Wow, okay, so that does work. Other stuff still seems to be working okay. Yeah, okay. That's nice. That's you guys have been telling me this in comments for literally months. So, yeah, that's something that I definitely wanted to try to test. Okay. Now, the actual towers on this side of the drawbridge, because there's kind of like two small guard towers on this side of the ravine, and let me pull up my map real quick and see how far out they are. So I checked my Curse of Strahd map insert, and I verified that from the front leading edge of these towers here, it should be another 15 blocks out until we get to the leading edge of the, I guess technically the trailing edge of the guard towers. So we're going to leave 3 of those left, and then we'll have a small tower, like a really small tower, like the smallest tower that you could still probably consider a tower. It's going to be tiny, like 4x4 tower right here, and a 4x4 tower on this side. So, yeah, about there. So that's not going to be too much of a dramatic impact on the landscape. I didn't see a strong reason to get those done earlier, but just kind of having them in place or marked out will be helpful for later. Now, I've also probably got to build up the land on this part so that it aligns there, and dig this out more so it's more of a terrifying, imposing, gully or gulch. So let's go ahead and terrifyingly impose a gulch upon this, digging out all the excess dirt. And we can use that excess dirt toward the goal of shoring up the rest of this. Time skip! Alright, so we've slightly widened part of our drawbridge here. We've got our foundations in place for our 2 towers, and we've got a little bit of excess dirt. Although, realistically, we should probably have this kind of come down a little bit more gradually before falling off. And then dig out way more of this. But I just wanted to get enough of this that we could rest the drawbridge in place. Let's go ahead and chop down some of these spruce trees down here to get enough wood for the rest of it. Well, I've consulted the Curse of Strahd book about Area J, which is these 2 towers. There's no height described or given, but they are stated to be in a state of decay, so I say whatever. Anyway, we'll just go ahead and put them up as best as we can, but they should be kind of terrible looking. We'll put some, holes or cracks in them later, but they don't have to be huge. We'll just kind of go around here, just to give a sense of their place for right now. So one of them will kind of be here, and then I had that one a little further out from the drawbridge than this one, so let's go ahead and pull that back a little bit and pull this over some. So we just want to get above the drawbridge height. We'll work out the full tower dimensions later, but the fact that it's non-specific means that we can really be kind of playful with it. Now, that book also confirmed that this is a 50-foot chasm, and I was thinking like, man, this 50-foot drawbridge seems a little bit large, but when I did the math, if you had a 30-foot drawbridge, which seems like an appropriate drawbridge for most chasms, but if you had a 50-foot chasm with a 30-foot drawbridge, it would just kind of stop in the middle, and you'd have to have like people throw you 20 feet across to the edge of the drawbridge, which seems madly unsafe. So, just in terms of getting pieces of this done, it's not bad so far. Now, I like the idea that the towers are made of the same general stone material as the rest of this, but I was thinking we might make them mossier and less decayed, kind of give the impression that they are no longer in use as much as the rest of the castle is. So that would kind of contribute to the idea that, like, they're not really guarding against anybody anymore. Like, they've won. This is a vampire's castle, and a vampire victorious. So, you know, it's not exactly on the top of his list to stop people from coming in. You know, the drawbridge itself is described as rusty in terms of its chains, which I haven't made yet. And I'm not sure exactly how best to even do. I could even say that the chains have rusted away, or like have the chains hanging down on either side of the bridge, because I don't think that you should be able to operate the drawbridge in terms of this story. I think it's pretty much broken anyway, although it might not be. So I'm going to have to verify that and see what the story implications of having the drawbridge actually be broken are. But, you know, the idea is, hey, this is a trap. The vampire wants you to come here so that he can eat you. And the trap doesn't close because the drawbridge goes up behind you. The trap closes because his jaws clench your neck. So I don't know. I'm just, you know, thinking a little bit. But yeah, I might incorporate some sideways stairs, some small holes in here, some half slabs, some gashes in these little towers. I'm gonna have to brainstorm that. But right now, I'm just trying to get a general idea of where things are gonna go. So being able to walk in and out of these walls now that I've got them up, that's huge. I think the next thing that I want to do real quick is to establish how far to the front door of the castle we need to go forward. So we can start getting our... Oh, I also need to get our midway partitions going. That might actually... So this whole courtyard here actually has a partition down the middle of it that connects from that tower, which I haven't actually fleshed out fully, to this tower, and it connects on either side of the castle. So people can't just run from the front yard to the backyard. They have to go through the castle, or over the fence, or through some sort of crazy gate that might be trapped. Who knows? It's a mystery. Oh, speaking of mysteries and rewriting histories, DuckTales. Woohoo! I gotta say, I watched the new DuckTales episode with my daughter this weekend, and I was very pleased. I was a big fan of the original DuckTales show when I was a little kid, and, you know, it's one of those things where anytime somebody wants to reboot something from my childhood, like a computer, I get a little bit, like, dubious. I'm just like, I don't know if that's a good idea. But I saw the remake of the opening theme that they did a few months ago, or a few weeks ago maybe, and I saw that they had cast a lot of people that I really liked, like David Tennant and the guy from Parks and Recreation who talks funny. He plays John Ralphio in Parks and Rec, which is a really goofy character who talks silly. And he also, like, helped consult on BB-8's, like, high-pitched noises in the Star Wars new movie. I want to say The Force Somethings. So, anyway, yeah, that's a movie that he's in as a robot, but now he's in DuckTales 2, and it seems like they're doing a good job of actually using Donald Duck, which was a big role. Donald Duck was a prominent player in the DuckTales comics by Carl Barks back in the day. And, I mean, Donald Duck has been huge in comics for a long time, but in animation, I feel like he's been generally underused, or misused, poorly used, any of these things, for the last basically since I've been alive. There's not really a Donald Duck cartoon that I've really been impressed with. But So incorporating him into DuckTales, I was a little dubious, but I think that they have done a good job. I mean, there's a reason they didn't use him last time in the 1990s DuckTales, but yeah. Where was I? We are going to lay enough dirt that I can figure out where the front of the castle is. So let me consult my map real quick. So it looks like the entrance to the castle, if everything works out in terms of my measurements, of which I have some doubt, I need to drop about 31 dirt here, which subtracted from 64 should leave me a difference of 33. So we're just going to real quickly place those blocks like so. This is a really interesting castle entrance, and I cannot say enough good things about Tracy and Laura Hickman's decisions when they were laying this out. They have the front doors of the castle set up in such a way that the front towers of the castle, kind of, one of them will go like right here, and then there's walls that sweep around. It kind of makes a U, where the furthest place from the entrance, from the drawbridge to the castle itself is toward the door. And from a kind of from a architectural and defensive standpoint, that makes a lot of sense that you'd want to have people forced to run a long distance to get to the front door, while also being flanked by walls that you could throw things down at them from, like arrows or stones or spears, javelins, all that sort of thing. So, anyway, I think it's a good way to get this. Whoops, dang it. So I'm going to be one block short here. But, so this should be the walkway to the main entrance, which I can fill in with dirt at my leisure. But if we are out, we're not out of stone. Good. So our front door, this is the first blocks of the actual castle we're placing, guys. The threshold for the front door is right here. And that's pretty great. I am so excited to actually be putting blocks down on the castle after weeks or months of working on these walls. Now, the walls aren't entirely finished. There's still actually a lot that I have to do to frame the center part of this piece. I need to enclose the back ends of these two towers. Need to work on that part and connect it to the castle. But if I don't get the castle placement figured out, I'm worried that some of the other stuff is going to kind of fall apart. So I looked at it, and in the Curse of Strahd book, this is area K7, this kind of foyer here. And this is where the ornate outer doors of the castle are. We're going to work out exactly how that looks in the long term, but for the short term, the doors are supposed to be swung open. So we're going to just kind of place 2 blocks there to indicate, hey, this is where the open doors go. And about 6 blocks back, there will be another set of doors that will be closed. So this is kind of like the foyer, the separation from the elements kind of thing. This is an area where you could take off your shoes if you wanted to before going into a trapped vampire castle, which I hear is the safest way to go into a scary vampire castle. What am I doing? There's too much mooing, but I am eschewing proper purlin. Okay. Well, I've decided to grab some polished andesite to distinguish what I'm doing here from the walls, because these floors need to be visibly distinct for me to keep moving quickly without making dumb mistakes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this room is supposed to be about 6 meters by 6 meters, but the way I've got my walls set up, it looks like it's come out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like it's come out wider than that. So that means that this is going to kind of come back to some of the weird errors we're going to run into with round-in and infinitely thin walls in the floor plan. I think that what I'm probably going to want to do, dang it, is actually pull in these walls tighter here. Dang it, cattle. So that way I can kind of preserve the square shape of the original room. But I need to make sure I'm not losing anything in the process. Dang it, cows, you were just everywhere. Including my mouth. So I've taken some time to look at the map a little bit more and digest the floor plans a little bit more thoroughly, which, I mean, I've been doing that this whole time, but until you actually start getting to the point where you're putting blocks on the ground and really seeing how it lays out and plays out, it's easy to kind of mentally phase out and miss the opportunities and the things that they're going to do to me if I'm not careful or wary. And, you know, this castle's supposed to be interesting and scary. Dang it. I fall the third time and just as easily interrupt my rhyme. Well, that ender pearl helped with the climb. That one didn't. So anyway, as I process everything that I've just read, I'm going to go ahead and keep laying down some of this dirt that I know I'm going to need. I didn't want to lay down dirt across the entire inner courtyard here because the parts that are going to need walls are going to need walls that go deeper than where we are right now. I don't want to have to dig out the massive catacombs under this or have extra dirt for removal. That's just a waste. So, yeah, here we go. Dang it. Another thing I've realized is that the front towers of the castle itself are aligned neatly with these marks or these towers on the walls. So that means that I can safely go ahead and fill in all the dirt forward of that to here and start getting that grass growing while I'm building and not have to, like, last minute be hanging out here waiting for the grass to grow before I can do my adventure with my friends. You know, it would really be terrible if I was like, oh yeah, one day I'll plant a garden here, and then I never do. Also, I should probably put lights on these things now that I'm thinking about it. Glad that's a cow, not an enderman. But anyway, so yeah, this whole area in here I now know is good. And in terms of finding where the front of the tower is in relation to this axis, if I look at the map here, so as I look at my map, determining how far out from the walls the towers start is actually pretty easy. It's 21 meters from this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So we've got these first 3 blocks of the leading tower here, and I'm going to go ahead and build up the full height of that tower, 43 meters, just to give you a sense of how tall these castle turrets are in relation to the walls. Now, these are not the tallest towers on the castle. These are, in fact, the shortest towers on the castle. The castle itself will hit the sky limit of Minecraft. I built it at this elevation, so the very top is at the top of Minecraft. And here is where this turret stops. This is going to be a pretty awesome castle. I am so excited. I can't wait to turn all these cattle into books to put in the castle. Can't wait to build out the rest of the courtyard, the rest of the towers, the rest of the rooms, catacombs underneath. The whole thing. It's an exhaustive project, but it's going to be awesome. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today as I built some of this out and broke ground on the castle itself. Until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep adventuring.